There's been one core class figure shelf warming at every Walmart near me for a while now. I've been tempted by his lizardy charms from day one, and today I've finally given in. Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC taking a look at Legacy Iguanus. Core class Iguanus abandons the nondescript inner bot mode of his G1 predecessor in favor of being a full-time lizard. I have to say, I think this decision was for the best, giving him a much more characterful bot mode. He's a well-proportioned bot that strikes a killer silhouette, thanks in no small part to the wonderfully placed motorcycle kibble. Bike formers so often end up with unsightly wheel kibble, but Iguanus really owns his, placing them behind either shoulder and almost invoking the appearance of some kind of twin-turbine jetpack. From head to toe, Iguanus is coated in robo-lizard sculpting, with a fair amount of paint to pick out details. As far as I can tell, the only actual plastic color used on the entire model is purple, with every other color being entirely added through paint. His head sculpt is immaculate, featuring what I would describe as a devilish smirk and covered in scales and spikes. Iguanus comes with one accessory, and it's, whatever this thing is. Really, this is part of a sword, meant to be built by collecting Iguanus and his two core wavemates. But on its own, it's a sorry excuse for a weapon. I guess it's a bladed gun, but personally, I just leave it off to the side. His fist holes are 3mm, however as a quirk of his transformation, the bottoms of his fists feature shallow 5mm ports, meaning you can kind of get Iguanus to hold standard 5mm accessories, albeit exclusively underslung. So how well articulated is Iguanus? Well, first of all, his head is on a ball joint, which unfortunately is more or less stuck as kind of just a swivel. It can just barely look up, just the tiniest nod, but nothing else. So that is unfortunate. But then at the shoulders, there's a nice free ball joint, which can get the full T-pose, and is pretty much unhindered, other than I guess the kibble in the back. But I don't think you need to go further back than this, really. Then a ball joint at the elbow, which gives about 90, and of course doubles as a swivel. Nothing at the wrist. I think for a core class, no wrist swivel is acceptable. Then there is a lovely waist swivel, which I guess is due to transformation, but it's still nice to see all the same. And then there's ball jointed hips, which can go about this far, so not a full splits, but not bad. And they can go forward and backward 90 degrees. The one issue with these joints is that the sculpting here is in such a way that you kind of can't combine forward and outward motion. When it's this far forward, you can't move it out further any than this, and it's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit hinky trying to get him in poses sometimes. That's the biggest problem, I would say. Then he's got a ball jointed knee, which goes just the tiniest bit over 90, but pretty much a 90-degree bend. And then ball jointed ankles, which is lovely. Again, I guess this is for transformation, but it's all the same a really nice bit of articulation. That makes him lots of fun to pose. So overall, I think this guy has pretty exceptional posability for a core class. It's just really nice, and I find it's actually very easy to get him into expressive poses. There are definitely issues, specifically I brought up the hips, but in general, this guy is just a joy to pose. Iguanus' transformation starts off promising, as his bike wheels fold out on two elegantly simple ball-jointed armatures. The fun then nosedives hard as his limbs just kinda clamp around the wheels, doing little to no work to actually blend in as part of the bike. It's a real mixed bag, and it results in, well, a very goofy bike. If you want realism in your alt modes, this will probably hardcore not work for you. But as someone who's generally accepting of goofy space modes, it works for me. Just barely. Because, oh man, do I wish the limbs did anything to blend in. They really are just plainly sitting there, gripping the wheels. And while part of me finds it charmingly dumb, it's just not a very fulfilling transformation. I wish that at least the legs had been designed to fold forward and fill in the body of the bike. That can be fan moded, but it often leaves the legs feeling uneven and the rear wheel unsecured. His accessory can be stored on the canopy using a 5mm port, and it looks about as dumb as you'd expect. Iguanus is an excellent action figure and a questionable transformer. His alt mode is just barely goofy enough to be charming rather than insulting. But that's also entirely a matter of taste. If you have a lower tolerance for goofy alt modes in your Transformers, then this figure may not be for you. But I don't think I can overstate just how fun his bot mode is. If you think the robot mode looks cool but find the bike mode uninspiring, I think you'll still get a decent bang for your buck here. He really is just that charming. Anyways, this has been STSC, wondering if I've already missed the boat on Core Bomb Burst, cause man, this lizard needs a friend.